Well, joining us now from Stellenbosch, where the Cubs week is currently underway, is Paul Adams, a former Proteas Test bowler. Good to be chatting to you once again. Fantastic victory for South Africa. They said that they needed to be more ruthless, and they certainly did show that in this second Test match.
Good afternoon, Valen. Yes, it was an excellent victory by the Proteas. They really showed their grit, their authority, and it's wonders when it's just the side who went 1-0 up in the series up in Pretoria, made a few changes and adjustments, and then also come towards Newlands here for the New Year's Test match and play in a dominant way that they did.
Let's speak a little bit about Kwena Mapaka, because in December 1995, you became South Africa's youngest Test cricket player when you featured in your first Test debut at the age of 18 years, 340 days. Then last Friday, Kwena broke that record. How did you feel?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, you know. It's nearly for over close to 30 years that it's passed since Kwena just debuted now the other day, and it's real great honor just to hand it over to a young man of his caliber. He's been absolutely amazing for the way he's been playing the game, and I can only, well, I felt the nerves he could be feeling on the day. Sometimes it's, you know, Test match cricket is a massive occasion, and when you receive that first Test cap, it's one of my prized possessions. And it's an important moment in any cricketer's career to represent your country in Test match cricket. So for Kwena, a great honor to hand it over to him. Yeah, it's going to be a record that any young player to be able to get in there, it's going to be one to beat.
Paul, you know exactly what it's like to be at that stage in your life, a really important stage as a teenager. He hasn't even gotten his matric results yet, and his bowling is being seen all over the world and being assessed by cricket fans and cricket pundits. What is your advice? You know what it's like to be at this time in your life, but then also be on that Test playing arena. What's your advice to Kwena?
I think having worked with Kwena during the Under-19 World Cup and through the period, he's got a real good head on his shoulders. He's really balanced in his life, in his studies, and as well as his cricket. And his cricket has just flown. For the past year, he's been picked up in the IPL, SA20, made his T20 ODI debut, and now Test match debut. So it's the world's his oyster. It's just how he gets managed now over the next period in the beginning of his career, and how he can set up a long career going forward. So hopefully over the next few years that he reaches and plays to his full potential and does well for South Africa on the cricket field. And it's a great opportunity that they gave to him, and especially if he's in the wings to play for the great experience for him to be making a debut in home soil. With everyone and his whole crowd and his family and everyone behind him.
Yeah, he has, in this Test match, struggled a little bit with consistency. Will that kind of, is that just nerves, or when you got an opportunity to watch a little bit? I know you've also been quite busy at the Cubs week, but when you've put on the TV and seen how he's done, how would you assess his performance?
Well, he made his debut on a real good wicket. Lots of runs scored by South Africa up there, so it was it's a tough sort of surface to make the debut. But you know, first Test match, you're always getting get those nerves out the way. And I'm sure as he goes along, when he gets his next opportunity, he'll be much better prepared, and also just a lot more nerves and a lot less hype around it, and he can just clearly focus on the cricket. But yeah, Kwena is a real big talent. He's shown that he bowls the speed that he bowls and all of that, and we want him to bowl as quick as he can and make sure we're using that exuberance of youth that we have within the attack. So Kwena has, I think, got a big career ahead of him, and you know, we're wishing him all the best, and we give him all the support that he needs.
You yourself are the spin bowling coach for our under-19 team. You're at Cubs Week now. You are taking a look at some of the talent that's actually coming through. Obviously, it's been quite big news, Kwena Mapaka breaking the record and becoming the youngest Test player for South Africa. Have you seen that it's perhaps energized some of the other youngsters to really see that, you know, like they could potentially make waves quite early on in their careers?
Yeah, it's one where I can almost reflect back to when I was an 18-year-old and what impact that has made on a lot of youth, on youth of the country. And often you only feel it when you're much older. And now that I'm sit here much older, I often bump into people and they'll tell me, you an inspiration of that generation. You inspired us as young as we were growing up. We could achieve and get out there and go out there. So Kwena won't really sometimes see the impact he made right now, but later as he journeys through life, he'll bump into people and they'll chat to him and tell him how the story of how his life has inspired people and youth that to go out there and utilize all the experience and utilize your talents and really just back yourself and how you carry yourself on the cricket field as well. The positiveness, the energy, and all of those things, how it impacts actually on and off a cricket field.
It certainly is a lot of pressure for a youngster who's, after this Test match, still going to wait for his matric final results. Let's speak a little bit about the historic feat that South Africa have achieved by making it to the ICC World Test Championship final. We also know now who our opponents will be in Australia. Come mid-year, it is going to be fire at Lord's.
Yeah, it's been a massive year for Cricket South Africa, you know, and making the men's T20 final, women's final, and now we're up here into the Test final. So it's really big for cricket, and it shows that how much has gone into it. I know people out there are saying that we haven't played the big top teams, but who's to judge in all those things, and why are they being isolated as them being big? But it's about your winning percentages, and it's no mean feat to be winning about the high percentage of wins that South Africa's got over the last few months. And it's a real great achievement. The moment they won, I said, I'm gonna get to Lords. I'm gonna go watch that in June. We're gonna gotta try and get somehow we can get some tickets or something out there. It's amazing, you know. Test match cricket is really tough, and you know our Test side has been under pressure for a couple of years now, and then Shukri Conrad's come along, really put in some good focus on it, and how he's gone about it has been amazing. How he's turned around, how the players have seen it, how they go about playing their game, and they just made sure they get on with it and get the job done. They look like a great bunch of players out there. I'm fortunate to spend 2 days or so a month or so ago with them. So it was just, yeah, great energy within the camp, and the Test side is really doing well.
It is quite incredible to think what our Test team have been able to achieve in light of the fact that they don't really get to play much Test cricket.
Yeah, so therefore it's so much more important that when you play, that you make sure you're making an impact and you're getting on with those series. Very little in between. So for South Africa, it's important that now there's this big break as well now after this Test match, still that final, that they really get some sort of program in place, making sure that anything can still happen. There's SA20, there's a lot more other one-day series, and there's IPL involved. So making sure that your pool of players that are going to prepare for that Test match is really also focused on that in the long run for June. So I'm sure that planning will be put in place, and what sort of team we're going to put out in against Australia, who has been really dominant as well. Who watched the series against India. Australian side is a real side, and you know, over the years it's been a real big thorn for South Africa, and hopefully we can get one over them in the World Test final.
Former Proteas Test bowler Paul Adams, also spin coach for our under-19 team and our emerging team for South Africa. Thanks for your time here on Newzroom Afrika.